Step into Luna's fantasy whispers, where thrilling adventures, shimmering magic, tender love, and endless wonder await. I'm Luna, your guide to magical tales. Let's escape into whispers in the Enchanted Forest. Elara Voss woke to the same gray dawn she'd known for years. Her village, nestled in a valley of endless fields, was as familiar as her own heartbeat, and just as stifling. At 25, she felt like a bird tethered to the ground, wings clipped by the weight of routine. Her days were a blur of tending to her ailing father, stirring thin porridge over a smoky fire, and mending clothes until her fingers ached. Each stitch felt like a tether, binding her to a life she hadn't chosen. Her mother's laughter had faded when Elara was a child, leaving only the echo of a lullaby her mother once sang, a melody of stars and dreams that promised a world beyond the fields. Now, it was just her and her father, his coughs echoing through the nights, a constant reminder of her duty. She loved him, but the weight of that duty pressed on her chest, a stone she couldn't lift. There must be more, she thought, gazing at the distant forest from her window, its shadows whispering secrets she longed to uncover. As a child, Elara had sat at her mother's knee, listening to stories of a magical forest where courage bloomed like wildflowers. The forest chooses those who dare to dream, her mother had said, her voice soft as a summer breeze. But dreams come with a price, my love. Elara had clung to those words, even after her mother's death, clinging to the hope of something greater. Now, staring at the forest, she felt that hope stir, a quiet ember in her heart. But hope was a dangerous thing in a village that demanded sameness, where dreams were whispered only in secret. She sighed, turning back to her chores, the lullaby playing in her mind like a distant promise. That evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of rose and gold, Elara carried a basket of linens to the village square. The air was crisp, scented with pine, and the forest seemed to hum, its shadows stretching toward her like an invitation. She'd asked a neighbor to check on her father, easing her guilt for wandering, but the act felt like a small rebellion, a crack in the wall of her routine. She paused by the forest's edge, her heart tugging toward its depths, her yearning for freedom a quiet ache that pulsed with every heartbeat. Then she saw it. A glimmer, no brighter than a firefly, dancing among the trees. A wisp of light, pulsing softly, as if drawn to her restless heart. The forest's magic, she'd later learn, sought those who dreamed beyond their bounds, those who carried a spark of wonder in their souls. Her breath caught, a mix of fear and excitement swirling in her chest. It's nothing, she told herself, but her feet moved forward, the basket forgotten on the ground, linens spilling like petals in the wind. The wisp darted deeper, its hum sweet, like the lullaby her mother once sang, a melody that seemed to weave through the trees. Elara's boots crunched on moss, the sound a steady rhythm against the forest's quiet song. Branches brushed her cloak, their touch gentle, as if guiding her deeper. The trees glowed faintly, their bark shimmering with a light that answered the wisp's call, a dance of magic she could feel in her bones. She stepped through a curtain of vines, the hum swelling, a chorus of whispers that spoke of secrets and dreams. Before her lay a village unlike any she'd known. Cottages glowed with warm light, their roofs woven with flowers that shimmered like stars. A central tree pulsed with golden light, its branches swaying without wind, as if alive with a heartbeat of its own. Villagers moved gracefully, their forms a mix of human and ethereal. Some with pointed ears, others with skin that shimmered like moonlight. Magic hung in the air, thick as honey, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Elara stood frozen, her heart racing, a storm of awe and fear battling within her. She was an outsider, her worn cloak and muddy boots stark against the village's beauty, a smudge on a perfect canvas. She turned to leave, her breath shallow, but her foot caught on a root, the forest itself seeming to hold her back. She stumbled, a gasp escaping her lips. "Careful now," a voice said, smooth as river stones, rich with a warmth that made her pause. Strong hands caught her arms, steadying her, and she felt the warmth of his touch through her sleeves. Elara looked up into eyes like storm clouds, flecked with silver, deep and endless. The elf smiled, his dark hair falling over a sharp jaw, a contrast to the softness in his gaze. His touch lingered, a quiet connection that sent a flush to her cheeks, her heart skipping a beat she couldn't explain. "I'm Thalor," he said, his voice playful, a hint of mischief in his tone. "You're new here. Humans don't often find this place." "Elara," she managed, stepping back, though her heart raced at his gaze, a pull she couldn't name. "I followed a light." His smile widened, as if he knew a secret, his eyes glinting with something unspoken. "The forest chooses who it calls. Welcome to our village." Thalor guided Elara through the square, pointing out stalls with crystal fruits that glowed like tiny suns and fabrics that shimmered like starlight. She marveled, her earlier life fading like a dream, the weight of her village lifting with each step. Villagers glanced her way, some curious, others wary, their whispers a soft hum beneath the music of the square. A young elf girl, Lyra, approached with a shy smile, her golden hair catching the light, her eyes wide with wonder. She offered Elara a crystal that glowed faintly, its surface cool against her palm. "It shows your feelings," Lyra said, her voice soft, a hint of nervousness in her tone. Elara held it, watching it shimmer with wonder, the crystal reflecting her awe in shades of gold and blue. Thalor's presence kept the wary villagers at a distance, his shoulder brushing hers, a quiet reassurance in his nearness. At the glowing tree, Elara reached out, its warmth tingling her fingers, a sensation she barely noticed, though it felt like a whisper of something greater. "What is this place?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the tree. "Home," Thalor said, his tone soft but heavy, a weight behind the word that made her pause. "But magic always has a price." A villager's voice cut through, low and urgent, sharp against the hum of the square. "She's human. No human leaves unchanged." Elara turned, her heart lurching, but the speaker vanished into the crowd, leaving only the echo of their words. Her pulse quickened, a chill creeping up her spine despite the warmth of the village. Thalor's hand grazed her elbow, his touch grounding her, his voice steady. "Stay tonight," he said. "The forest brought you here for a reason." Elara's mind spun, but her heart urged her to stay. The village glowed, Thalor's smile lingered, and the tree's light called to her. She nodded, deciding to spend the night. But as she followed Thalor to a cottage, the villager's warning echoed. No human leaves unchanged. What price would this magic demand? What secrets does the village hold? Will Elara trust Thalor? Comment below. What would you do in a magical village? Vote in our poll. Would you follow a mysterious light into a forest? Like, subscribe, and join us for the next episode of Whispers in the Enchanted Forest.